Welcome back. Preparing individuals on a career pathway is part of the mission of the State Office of Skills Development. Cody Waits is the director of the division and joins me to talk about how they're advancing Arkansas's workforce through their apprenticeship program. A fascinating program it is, and thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We're glad to be here.
Well, let's first just talk about the Office of Skills Development, how you assist businesses and also prepare individuals for the workforce. Give us an overview of what you're doing.
Yeah, so at the Office of Skills Development, we're an agency within the Department of Commerce, and our mission is to strategically invest in all levels of the Arkansas workforce so that earning potential increases and businesses have pipelines of talent when looking to expand or do operations here in Arkansas. And we do that really through three main programs and a lot of other efforts that we have within the agency. The first of those is we operate a workforce development grants program where we're granting out anywhere from $12 to $15 million a year direct to businesses, chambers of commerce, economic developers, 2-year, 4-year universities, K-12, pretty much anybody who's in the system of educating and workforce. And so we do that through that grants program. We also operate as the state's State's Apprenticeship Office, where we oversee, the roughly 100+ programs, 8,000 active apprentices, with about $2.5 million in funding. And then, interestingly enough, we also work and coordinate with the Department of Education and oversee the 31 career and technical education centers around the state of Arkansas that serve roughly 9,000 Arkansas students on an annual basis, most of which are located on the backs of a 2-year or 4-year university, but also a handful that are operated by our high school programs around the state.
How long has this program been in existence? We hear so much lately about people saying, I can't find good help, I can't find good workers. Was it born out of this, or is this fairly recent? Yeah,
so the agency was created in 2015, actually. So in terms of state government, obviously very young. But what was happening was it was a little bit disjointed. We had multiple agencies who had funding and dollars that were available to companies and businesses to do workforce training, but none of it was very coordinated. There wasn't a lot of reporting that was provided on the back end, and so there wasn't really a lot of outcomes that were associated with it. And so in 2015, they brought those funding streams together and created the Office of Skills Development. And so with that, we've since taken kind of a central role in investing in the Arkansas workforce. And since 2015, we're a small agency. We have about 12 people who work within the Office of Skills Development, but we've grown it from, if you look at 2016-17, we were doing probably around $4 million in grants and working with about 100 businesses a year. Now we're working with north of 350, 400 businesses, receiving probably 500+ grants a year, and awarding close to $18 million in funding on an annual basis to support workforce development.
That's incredible. Let's talk specifically about the apprenticeship program. What does it entail?
Yeah, so apprenticeship is it's kind of the time-tested gold standard of workforce training. Has been in place for hundreds of years, but at the end of the day, right, it's a training program that combines classroom instruction with on-the-job training. And so most of that is done through a program through the Federal Department of Labor, and so they regulate some standards around how we do that at the state level. It's essentially a minimum of 144 hours of related classroom instruction combined with 2,000 hours of on-the-job training is what's considered a 1-year apprenticeship program. Apprenticeships can range from 1 year to 4 years and even up to 5 years in some cases. Heavy involved in the construction trades, historically speaking, because of the tied to licensure. So in Arkansas, we license electricians and we license plumbers. And as part of that, we have apprenticeship programs as part of their standards in order to complete their education and training towards licensure. And so we have around probably 6,000 of our apprentices that are active in the state, probably within the construction trades. But in the last probably 4 years or so, you've seen that really expand in what we call non-traditional sectors, right? So information technology, manufacturing, healthcare, and the list goes on and on and on, and we're looking out right now on some broadband activities, advanced energy, and so things of that nature. So you're really seeing apprenticeship expand here in Arkansas. If you look back in that same kind of time frame of 2015-16, we had about 3,500 active apprentices, and now we're north of 8,000, right? So roughly 125, 127% growth in the terms of apprentices that are active here in the state of Arkansas just in a short period of time. So businesses have recognized that it's a valuable asset to their workforce development, recruitment, and retention strategies. And that's why we're seeing this broader adoption of apprenticeship across the state. I mean, my staff works with companies on a daily basis across sectors to implement apprenticeships.
Wow. Well, your office has prepared videos on how these apprenticeships can benefit people and develop the workforce. So let's take a look at what the program has to offer.
We were having trouble getting people trained. Our leaders said, hey, give me somebody with 3 years experience in iOS and Android programming. There were no people with 3 years that a little company like us could recruit. So we said, we're gonna have to train them. Jobs here, like in other companies, are tremendously specialized. Our software is different, our culture is different, and if you just have somebody come in and haphazardly train them, it's going to be a long road to get people up to speed.
A lot of people that I was going to school with, they'll just be getting out of school, starting at the bottom, and I'm already working my way up to the top.
This is just a good opportunity for me. Everyone, I think, considers college, and that's good. There's nothing wrong with college, but it's definitely not your only option.
Really just so interesting to hear that, because some kids don't go to college out of high school, and that's okay. They can make wonderful living and benefit all of us, really, through your program.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think that's why we're seeing such an expansion in the activity, both on the, the individuals who are, looking to get into workforce training, as well as companies who are looking at ways in which they attract talent. And people have realized that, they're all alternatives to a 4-year degree. We've pursued that, and certainly there's a segment of our population and society that is always going to go after the associate's degree, the bachelor's degree, the master's, and so forth and so on. But it's the trades that really, are a key indicator in economic growth. And so when we see increases in the types of apprenticeship opportunities that we have and growth in construction and manufacturing, that's what we're trying to find right now, and that's part of our strategic initiatives this year.
And just to clarify, it's not just a summer apprenticeship. You mentioned it was 12 months. Is that correct, or am I wrong?
No. So really, I mean, if companies are looking at starting apprenticeships, first off, they need to contact the Office of Skills Development. We can help maneuver and navigate that process with you. But it's really not a summer thing. There's certainly pre-apprenticeships and youth apprenticeship opportunities for students who are in high school or adult learners who are trying to get themselves on a path to a career that they can take advantage of. But apprenticeship in its core is really a structured process that takes place day in and day out through someone's career, right? In order to be an apprentice day one, you're hired and employed by a company. And so that structure of an apprenticeship where you're going to class, maybe it's 1 or 2 days a week for 2 or 3 hours a night. So you're getting the classroom instruction that's leading to that 144 hours of RTI. But then you're working full time throughout the day, whether it's days, nights, weekends, whatever the case may be, to obtain that 2,000 hours of on-the-job training that's mandated by the Federal Department of Labor. So, it's always a constant. It's not a summer thing. It's not a fall thing. It's not by a semester. It's really always ongoing. And again, apprenticeships can be 1 year in nature, right? So it could be 144 hours of classroom training and 2,000 hours of on-the-job training, or it can be as long as 8,000 hours of on-the-job training and 576 classroom hours, which is typical of our construction and electrician programs here in the state.
Sure. Is there a number of apprenticeships that exist through the state, or you're just working to expand as greatly as you can?
Well, I mean, if you look at, that same kind of time frame over the last 8-9 years or so, we had about 83 different programs that were offered. Now we're north of 100 plus. But really that growth has really come in terms of the number of apprentices, which is really more of a key indicator. Number of apprentices that are active, number of companies who are involved in apprenticeship. The occupations, there's north of 1,400 occupations that are apprenticeable under the Department of Labor's guidance. And so, that also, again, it ranges from healthcare, IT, manufacturing, and obviously primarily construction, where we share great relationships with employers and program sponsors across the state.
Who qualifies?
Anyone can qualify for an apprenticeship so long as you're 16 years of age or older.
Okay.
So really the key there is, in order to be an apprentice under the definitions both at the state level and the federal level, is that you're 16 years of age or older. There's no requirements to have a GED or a high school diploma or anything like that. So we serve in-school youth, out-of-school youth, adults, dislocated workers. And so from an individual perspective, you have to be 16 and you have to be employed and have a willingness to work.
And how does one go about getting connected with you? I know we have a website and some numbers that we can share, but is there what's your suggestion?
Yeah, first off, I would say, number one, we're doing tremendous education and outreach activities across the state. A lot of that focused in the construction trades, but also in some of our other areas where we've partnered with Arkansas PBS to develop a Why Apprenticeship series of videos, both targeting individuals as well as employers. But first thing I would say is go to our website, arkansasosd.com, search the apprenticeship tab. We have a landing page and a map that is, you can search on it and find what occupation you want to have, what region of the state you're in, what programs are offered there, contact information for those programs and employers who are hiring for apprenticeship opportunities. And so the first step would be to contact that website, and if you're interested in more detail, you can certainly follow up and give us a call.
That number, 501-683-1152, and the website, once again, Arkansas OED.
ArkansasOSD.com.
Got it. Yes, thank you so much. So it goes without saying, this is a win-win for both sides.
Yeah.
It helps businesses, helps the workforce. You're doing a great thing.
Yeah, we are. I mean, at the end of the day, that's, again, our goal is to strategically invest in all levels of the Arkansas workforce, whether that's education, incumbent workers, dislocated workers, unemployed individuals. There's statistics around apprenticeship that shows that companies who invest in apprenticeship, every dollar they invest, they get a $1.40 return on that investment. So that's a key, indicator that we always, want to highlight. But then at the end of the day, we also have state funding that we allocate towards offsetting the costs of companies to expand into apprenticeship. And again, that's cross-sector. That's whether that's healthcare, manufacturing, construction, IT, so forth and so on. So companies can get into apprenticeship at no cost up front. To sustain that, obviously, there's some cost that they will have to incur. But we try to move all the barriers to starting apprenticeships. And again, that's why we've seen the increases both in the number of programs, the number of apprentices, and number of employers across the state who are taking advantage of it.
All right, apprenticeships. What a great opportunity for both business and workers. Cody Waits, the Director of Arkansas Office of Skills Development, thanks again for being with us.
Yeah, thank you.
And that does it for Arkansas Week. Thanks for being here. I'm Dawn Scott. See you next time.